tried intuitive eating for a day. Let's see how much that cost me and how many calories I wound up eating. So I have had some fun imitating the diets of certain influencers on YouTube. I did Mandy's and Fabiola's raw vegan diets last month, and then I tried eating carnivore diet for a day and failed miserably. This time I wanted to try basically the exact opposite of extreme diets. Raw veganism and carnivore diet are very, very extreme, very, very restrictive diets, and I wanted to try the anti-diet. And what is more the anti-diet than intuitive eating? So when I told the community that I was going to do kind of the complete opposite of dieting in my next experiment, nobody could guess intuitive eating. So I assume that means that most of you just have never heard of intuitive eating, so I'm gonna give you a quick rundown of what it is. It is basically the anti-diet. And it is kind of meant for people who are recovering from failed diets and disordered eating to have a more healthy relationship with food. There are 10 principles to the intuitive eating lifestyle, and I'm going to go over them right now. So that's intuitive eating in a nutshell. I mean, there's a lot more detailed information out there, but I just wanted to give you an overview so you knew what this diet actually is. So since intuitive eating is all about the individual doing the intuitive eating, I could not copy. It wouldn't really be right and authentic for me to copy another influencer, to copy what I ate in a day of intuitive eating, because that's not me. So what I did for this day is I ate just exactly what I felt like in the moment. I am currently on a calorie restricted diet. It's a very gentle, very slow calorie restricted diet. I've lost like 25 pounds in the past year. That's how slow and gentle and gradual it is. So I did not count calories for the day. And I also I put myself on a food budget. I only spend $200 a month on myself for food. So that averages out to about $6.67 per day on food. So I did not keep track. I wasn't thinking. I tried to turn that part of my brain off of, oh, how much does this cost? Or, oh, how many calories is this? And I just ate whatever I wanted all day for a day. So let's see what I ate. I just woke up, which is why I'm so attractive right now. And of course, what I feel like having most of all is a cup of tea, black tea with cream and sugar. I always have this the very first thing of the day, so this is nothing different or special. Well, that was so good, let's do it again. Another cup of black tea with cream and sugar. I woke up like an hour before I ideally should have. My husband came back to bed, and if he comes to bed or like gets out of bed, when I've had like 6 or 7 hours of sleep already, I will wake up. I'm a very light sleeper, and then I can't get back to sleep. And that happened this morning. It happens a lot, but it happened this morning, so I'm a little low on sleep. So I'm gonna have another cup of tea. I don't feel like eating anything yet. I sometimes have a hard time eating like in the morning. Like my stomach isn't really awake yet, and I like gentle things. So the plan on what, I'm not technically supposed to plan on what I'm gonna eat, but the sort of plan for what I'm gonna eat first thing today is something that's already in the apartment, just because, well, it's like not even 6 a.m. yet right now. So, some stores are open, but where I want to go, the Butcher and probably Fred Meyer or Winco or one of those like larger, generic big grocery stores, because they have a big variety of things. Those places, at least the Butcher anyway, are not open yet. So I'm probably just gonna eat, and I can't be bothered, like, for my first meal of the day to, like, go get some ingredients and make something really special and fancy. Like, the hunger hits me suddenly and I just need something. So I'm gonna have whatever I feel like having that's already in this apartment. And I have so many options. So it's not, it's not like I'm gonna be starved or anything. And it's not like I'm gonna, like, pick something to eat that I don't actually want to eat. There's plenty of stuff here. Okay, I finally feel like eating breakfast, and I'm having buttered noodles.
Cool.
This is legit what, oh, I dropped a noodle. Cat hair covered noodles are the best. Okay, this is legit what I felt like eating for breakfast. I love, usually first thing in the morning, I like something kind of light, and like a grain with butter is like one of the best breakfasts because it's really light and gentle on the stomach and easy to make. and I want to go on a big walk after this, so I don't want to eat anything too heavy or watery for obvious reasons. And this sounded really good, and I haven't had buttered noodles in a while. This was a cup and a half of dry noodles. I had to measure it just so I could calculate the calories and the price after the fact. So this was a cup and a half of dry noodles, basically enough to fill the bowl, with a tablespoon of butter. So it is about 7:30. The butcher is not going to be open for another hour and a half, and it's still nice and cool, and there's wispy clouds in the sky. So I'm going to go on my walk now before it gets too hot and too sunny. I hate the heat and the sun. And then when I get back, I'm gonna go to the butcher and do grocery shopping. I think I already know what I'm gonna make for one of my meals today. I've been craving this for like a couple months now, and I think today is finally the day because it sounds really good. A hot chicken sandwich. Hi, Miney. I am back from my walk, and I am hot and sweaty, so I'm gonna have some iced tea. So this is actually David's tea, which is really like fancy, expensive tea from Quebec. Ordinarily this would be very expensive, but I got gift cards from my dad for my birthday and for Christmas, and I used them to get this. So this is free, and it's also 0 calorie. It's actually been a long time since I've been to Winco. It's kind of far away from our apartment, so I haven't been going. And especially since they got rid of the bulk section, like they don't have the bulk bins of things anymore, so that was the main reason why I come here, but here I am because it's pretty close to the butcher. So bad news, I really had a craving for eggplant. I was gonna make something with eggplant, but Winco had really bad eggplant. There were like 4 of them and they were all squishy and overripe. So I don't wanna have to go to another store, but I really have my heart set on eggplant now. The hot chicken takes like at least 4 hours to marinate the chicken, and I need to eat soon because I'm hungry, so I'm gonna go to H Mart. Nice Asian store, and they have all kinds of really good eggplant there. So yay! So I did something extremely uncharacteristic. I bought a bubble tea. I don't like boba, so this has lychee jelly in it. It's a coconut milk tea, and I really like boba. I really like iced milk tea, but it's really expensive when you buy it out, so I never get it. But I really wanted it, and it's intuitive eating day, so I got it. I have had this from a bubble tea place officially maybe 3 times in my entire life. This is always such a novelty to me. I know this is like normal for lots of other people, but it's a novelty to me to like get something out. That's really good. Really sweet. I was in the mood for it though. I don't get much tea out of this. It's more coconutty, but yay, it's hot and I like it. Okay, so I got pretty much all of this at H Mart just now, except for this ginger and garlic that I already had. But yeah, I got about a tablespoon of minced ginger, 2 cloves of minced garlic, 3 scallions, 4 baby bok choys, just split in half. I love them when they're small like this, and you can just kind of split them in half, and then they look really pretty, and they kind of stay together. About 1/4 of the king oyster mushrooms that I got, and 2 of those little eggplants, so 2/3 of the eggplants total that I got. And then here is 1/4 of the pack of tofu. I'm wrapping it up in paper towel to soak off some of the excess moisture. And I'm also going to put some soy sauce in there. And this is some rendered duck fat. This sort of thing, stir-fried in duck fat, is delicious. This is just a packet of ramen noodles.
And last but definitely not least, a dash of sesame oil. Just about a teaspoon.
And here we have lunch. The rest of the bubble tea that I got at H Mart and my veggie stir fry. This would be vegan if not for the duck fat. So when it is summertime, I love eating stuff like this, like all the time. Baby bok choy in particular, when they're this size, they're so nice and tender and they cook up so quickly. This is what I was really wanting, eggplant. So far, I feel like I'm kind of breaking the rules with intuitive eating because like I thought that I'd be eating all this like junk food and unhealthy stuff. I seriously was craving this. In the last few days I've been eating pretty healthfully as well.
So I am starting making my hot chicken right now because this needs to marinate for 2 to 4 hours before I can cook it. And this is just 2 chicken thighs. I've taken the bones out of them. And if you've been following me for a while, you know that I save my chicken bones and other scraps along with veggie scraps, and I turn them into broth. It's a nice way to have free broth. I have not bought chicken broth. I can't remember the last time I bought chicken broth. And anyway, I just have some kosher salt with the 2 now boneless, not skinless, just boneless chicken thighs. I'm adding a 1/4 cup of buttermilk. It's always a challenge. Whenever I buy buttermilk, I usually only need like a 1/4 cup or a 1/2 cup, and then I have the rest of this quart. It freezes okay. I usually wind up freezing it. And there's lots of things that you can do with buttermilk. I just didn't have any plans for it, so I'm not sure I'm going to be able to use it all on time. Cornbread, biscuits, cake. There's a lot of fun uses for buttermilk. Panna cotta. We'll see. I need to add about a teaspoon of hot sauce. Actually measure it, since this stuff is pretty potent. Technically it's supposed to be Louisiana hot sauce, but don't have that. And we need a tablespoon of pickle brine. And then a 1/4 of 1 egg. This is what happens when you make like a 1/4 of a recipe of something. So I'm gonna beat the egg so that I can try to get a 1/4 of it in there. Good thing I've got 2 tablespoons on this thing. Looks like about 2 tablespoons of egg total, so if I do kind of like a scant, like a 1/2 tablespoon of beaten egg, that should do it. And you're supposed to let these chicken pieces marinate for 2 to 4 hours. And meanwhile, there were these extra flaps of skin that often happens with thighs, so I'm just rendering them. I'm going to use that chicken fat for other things later, and those make really nice cat treats. Okay, this is the amazing spice blend that goes over the hot chicken, and it's really what makes the hot chicken hot. We have cayenne pepper, brown sugar, kosher salt, garlic powder, paprika, and black pepper. And amazing news, I forgot to mention this earlier, but Winco has its bins back! It stopped having the bulk bins with all the dry goods and spices and stuff, but now they have them again, so I was able to get this cayenne pepper in bulk. But anyway, I'm gonna refill my cayenne pepper jar. In fact, there might be too much cayenne pepper. Woo! Traditionally, a hot chicken sandwich is just hot chicken served on Wonder Bread with pickles. That's like the main prerequisite for hot chicken. When I made it for the first time, the only time that I ever made it, I made it as a sandwich on a bun with a garlic mayo and with some butter lettuce and some pickles. And I think the garlic mayo just really helps take it up a notch. So this is just 1 clove of garlic and a 1/4 cup of mayo. Again, this is for 4 sandwiches, so I'm only going to be eating a tablespoon of mayo and a 1/4 of a clove of garlic. And then to dredge the chicken, I just have a 1/2 cup of flour and a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So 1/4 of a 1/2 cup, that's 1/8 of a cup of flour. That is like, I think that's less than a cent or something. You get down to these really small amounts of money when you get down to like 1 serving of something. Anyway, I think we're ready to start making it. Anyway, blot it off a little bit on paper towels and then drop it into the egg mixture. That's flour. I can talk English real good. So this is a really interesting breading process. If you have breaded and fried things before, this is a little different. So you dredge it in the flour, and it already has a lot of moisture from the buttermilk egg yolk marinade that it's been sitting in. So that's kind of where the egg comes in to this equation. And then, after you have dredged them in the flour solution, you dump them back into the buttermilk mixture again. And the end result is sort of this like mixture between battered and breaded. It's a really interesting thing. Anyway, at this point I can get in there with my hands and get my hands nice and dirty. The vegetarians watching this section are gagging. Sorry, I'm not a vegetarian channel. Even though I make a lot of vegetarian and vegan food, I am not a vegetarian. And then this is another step that might seem counterintuitive or weird, but it makes for a really nice crispy chicken. You let them air dry like this on a rack for at least 15 minutes. And just to get our other condiments ready, I've got lettuce. My husband's having some too, by the way. And we each get one big pickle slice. I use probably about, per serving, I'd like a 1/16 of this head of lettuce per serving. So now I have some oil heating up in this skillet. It's about maybe 1.5 to 2 cups. It's kind of hard to tell. And of course I'm not going to eat all of that oil, but I do have to use the oil to cook this dish. So I am going to factor in probably 1/2 cup of oil, since that's 1/4 of all of this oil. And I also have a new clean wire rack to receive the fried chicken, and it's on, this is the same paper towel I used to blot the tofu earlier today. It's almost dry now, I'm just recycling it. So this spice, which is going to turn into the sauce, in Chef John's recipe, which is the one I'm following, he used butter and lard and stuff, but traditionally you just use some of the deep fry oil, and that just, it speaks to me. It's nice and frugal, and it's classic, so that's what I'm going to do. So I'm not going to make this sauce until after I have fried the chicken.
What do you have to say about that? Miney? Yes? Yes?
You don't absolutely need one of these instant read thermometers, but it is so useful. So ordinarily you'd want the oil to be about 350 degrees, but since my pieces of chicken are smaller and thinner, I want it a little higher. 375, yeah, that's pretty good.
Chicken.
Okay, I have the rest of the glass of free David's tea from earlier in the day that I didn't finish, so drink it now. We'll see if I need milk, because that would be more calories and more expense, but if I really want it, because I'm intuitively eating today, I will have it. It is so spicy, and so good, and so balanced, like the soft bread, the creamy mayo, the garlic in there, the pickle, the lettuce. I am not hungry, and I don't actually feel like having very much of this, but my husband wants some. This is the homemade ice cream. I've been making it the last few days because it requires making a custard base, and I make this rum pineapple peach brown sugar reduction that goes in there to flavor it, and I made a butterscotch sauce. That's that stuff you see on the top. I will have a spoonful probably of his though, and that will be a lot of fun to calculate the calories and price of later. Almost tempted not to have that just for that reason, but I intuitively do genuinely want a spoonful of this.
I know what cats eat. I wouldn't recommend it. I really wouldn't.
It's really
There's
good.
not a lot
Drop
of
some in my armpit.
flavours
Butterscotch.
involved.
So my day totals. I ate, get this, 2,000 calories in the day, give or take a few. But yeah, I ate basically 2,000 calories. Now currently I am on a calorie restricted diet and I am eating 1,600 calories per day. And that is basically about what I am depriving myself, is about like 200 to 400 calories a day, so that I will very slowly and gently lose weight. So I was only like 100 to 200 calories over in this day of intuitive eating. But here is where there was a huge discrepancy. I spent $12.23 total in this day of intuitive eating. And as I mentioned earlier, I spend $400 a month on myself and my husband, so that's $200 a month each, which means about $6.67 per day. So I spent almost twice what I normally would spend on food. But if you look at everything that I ate in the day, there is one culprit that's pretty much what did it for me, what made me go over about 300 to 400 calories, and what also made me go way over cost-wise, and it's that bubble tea. If I had not, impulsively bought that bubble tea like a lot of people are prone to do, I would have saved $5, and I also would have had about 300 less calories, which would have been pretty much, 1,700. That's 1,600 to 1,700 is about what I'm trying to eat right now to very gently and slowly lose weight. So if I just had not had that bubble tea, I actually would have been still a little bit more expensive than my usual daily spending on food, but not that much more so. So that was my day of intuitive eating. I feel kind of bad. Like, I'm sure a lot of you wanted to see me just sitting down and eating 20 Oreos for lunch, but I wanted to eat what I genuinely felt like eating. I genuinely felt like eating those foods. I felt great doing it, but I guess what I learned most of all is that I kind of already do practice intuitive eating, except for the calories. Which diet am I gonna try next? I actually don't know. I'm open to suggestions. I'm more interested in the more extreme outlier kind of diets, something that's just vegetarian or whatever. It's like, I already kind of eat mostly vegetarian anyway, so I'm kind of interested in more extreme diets. Let me know what you're interested in me trying next, and I'll see you next time, maybe.